I think mine's bigger than yours.
Oh, the speed and power. Are you sure you're going to make it in this?
You honked it, Bulgarians?
Shit. Look what fell off mine.
Yeah, I think you're losing all of your coolant.
Shut up.
We are being gassed.
Oh no.
It's cheesy, I'll tell you that much.
Ever since I was a kid watching Top Gear specials, I've wanted to buy a couple of cheap cars and take them on an incredible road trip, something that I could really be proud of. And fortunately, I'm not alone in this. My friend Andrew has always shared these same desires, so together we decided that we were gonna do it. We planned an epic 2,000-mile voyage through Central Europe, starting in Athens and passing through 9 countries on the way to Berlin. And to make things all the more challenging, we gave ourselves a budget of just 3,000 euros to buy our cars. And after spending some time on the Greek classifieds, we decided that old Mercedes W124s would be the best value for our money. I chose this brilliant blue 1989 Mercedes 200E. With a gorgeous tan MB-Tex interior, I can forgive the dings and dents that you would expect for a car that's 35 years old.
Meanwhile, I went for this, a very stately, dark blue 1988 200E, and unlike Luke's brown plastic living room, I've got a real leather interior, which has aged like a fine wine, unlike my exterior.
But after spending a few hours at the car wash the previous night, our cars were looking pretty good for the beginning of our road trip. However, things were already not going according to plan. At our initial setup venue, we were kicked out. So we drove a few miles to go find another spot to begin the trip. However...
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your exhaust has fallen off.
And a few minutes later, it really fell off.
Oh dear. Well, that's not good, is it? How are you feeling?
Lighter.
You join us on top of, what's this called? What's the name of this mountain?
Mount Pedelis.
We're on Mount Bidet.
Close enough?
How much did you pay for this car?
It was a base price of 2,000 euros. Problem was, the second I drove it off the dealer floor, it instantly needed thousands of euros worth of repairs.
Yeah. My Mercedes, which is superior, significantly more expensive. It was 3,300 euros, but I didn't have to do anything to it because it just works. And we bought these cars because they're supposed to be reliable. I think we better get on the road here because, as you might notice, it's a little bit late. I really don't know that that car is going to make it, if I'm being honest.
As we set off in deafening silence, we had the chance to explain our choice of vehicles for this trip.
The reason why I was drawn to it is it sat abandoned in a classic car parking lot, dealership rather, underground for 6 years. And I just couldn't pass up the opportunity of saving this car because it's such a nice blue and it's so stately. And it has a gray interior, which I actually quite prefer to the brown interior that Luke has, or beige rather, as he would probably be talking about that right now.
And I think it's a really nice color combination. We've got a beautiful blue paint on the outside and this beige interior. I think this is actually a really nice spec, and it's in pretty good shape. We've got 250,000 kilometers, which is only about 150,000 miles. So in the world of Mercedes, it's barely worn in, really. I'm mainly excited because I get to drive around in a car that I've always really, really loved. This is the W124 Mercedes E-Class. This was kind of the last great incredible E-Class before the 2000s when things got very plasticky.
But while there's no denying that our cars are beautiful classics, they did have a few issues.
I have either a half a tank of gas or no gas at all. It's kind of unclear which.
The exhaust has a hole in it, which makes the cabin quite aromatic, really.
I've got an electric mirror on the passenger side and the driver's side is manual, but it's fallen off, so that doesn't work either.
Neither one of us has air conditioning. That's definitely a bit of a problem.
And then there's the brakes, which are cooked.
I should explain, we're now on our way to the petrol station so that we can fill up the car and the jerry cans that we have, because we are going through some very remote parts in Bulgaria and Romania.
Well, 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 look who's arrived. Oh no, Andrew, something's fallen off my car. Look, my seat adjustment knob.
Oh, you think you've got problems? Look what fell off mine!
With the cars filled up, it was time to get on the road. With night fallen, we had a 5.5 hour drive from Athens to Andrew's hometown of Thessaloniki.
So it's finally gotten cool enough outside that the unair-conditioned air that I can get through the vents here is actually decent, which means I can have the windows up, and I can really appreciate how well designed this car is. It is dead silent in here. We don't have double glazed windows, we don't have any of the modern technology that new cars have. How did Mercedes do this 35 years ago, and everyone then forgot how to make a car that's like this?
The engines seem to be doing okay. My temperature gauge is just above 80 degrees Celsius, but I have one tiny problem. In order for me to see the dials, I have to turn on the dome light because the illumination is broken. So I just want to show what I can see on my dials. Yeah. I've got lights on the interior, but nothing else.
Hey Andrew, I've just noticed something. You know how we put a full tank of gas in?
Yeah, what about it?
Well, my car's only reading half a tank.
That's strange. You filled it up to the brim, right?
Yes, I think it's entirely possible that my car doesn't acknowledge the second half of its gas tank.
That's actually pretty hilarious because I think my fuel gauge is the only one that works in my instrument cluster.
So that's going to be our communal gas gauge, I think.
And once the communal gas gauge got low enough that we felt the need to stop, we pulled over to calculate how efficient our cars had been.
So we've just driven all that way, but your odometer has not moved, which means it doesn't work. So you've been bragging about how your car is lower mileage,
Wait a minute.
but
We don't know how many miles does it have?
Who knows?
It's gonna be a 1,000,000-mile Mercedes.
It could well be. So we've now driven 268 kilometers, 166 miles.
Yeah.
You have consumed, which I've had to calculate because your odometer does not work.
Let's not talk about that.
You've consumed 32 liters or 8.45 gallons over 166 miles. That means you have done 19.6 miles per gallon.
That's very good. It's very good. Respectable.
It's a 36-year-old car.
Or a V12 engine.
Uh-huh. Now I, on the other hand, in those same 166 miles, have consumed 20 liters or 5.3 gallons, which gives me 31.3 mpg.
Listen, a Lamborghini doesn't have good fuel economy.
But I've done 31.3 mpg on an engine designed in 1910. Let's get back on the road.
Let's get back on the road and consume more fuel.
Having learned that my car is surprisingly fuel efficient and Andrew's car has a favorite number, we continued on.
You know, honestly, I was not expecting this car to pull 31 mpg. Like, that is seriously impressive for a 35-year-old car, four-cylinder, totally underpowered engine. But that's kind of the whole point of the W124. The reason why it basically defined an entire decade of car design was because they focused on making it aerodynamic. I mean, you look at the W124 E-Class, it looks super boxy, it looks super retro, but it's actually extremely aerodynamic for the time. It has a coefficient of drag of just 0.26. That's pretty impressive.
Meanwhile, I was feeling a bit emotional about my car.
See, back when I was a kid, we had just moved from Switzerland with my mom to Greece on our own. And we lived with my grandmother. And she had a red 1986 300D in the exact same style as these cars. And when I saw this car with these hubcap wheels in a very similar trim to what we had, I just had to have it because it just reminded me of being a kid in that back seat and all the good times with my grandmother. So for that reason, I think this car is pretty good.
After Andrew's wistful moment, we buckled down and completed our drive to Thessaloniki at around 2 in the morning, and after about 4 hours of sleep, we reconvened to deal with some of our gremlins.
Okay. We've only got 4.5 hours of sleep.
Yep.
But things need to change because your exhaust has fallen off.
Yes, it has.
My brakes are squeaking like a train.
Yep.
I've called a shop this morning and I told them my exhaust fell off. It's an emergency. Can you reattach it or give me a new one? He said, well, bring it in
Yeah.
and I will figure about it and figure it out.
And then my car, we've got an appointment with a mechanic to do the brakes.
Yes. Great success. So I will have a new exhaust part, maybe the whole system. I'm not sure. It wasn't clear, or I didn't understand it. It's too early. In about an hour for
Okay.
150 euros.
Not bad.
So we're done. We're legal.
Legal, that's the important part.
Yes.
Let's go get some brakes.
Let's go get some brakes.
A few minutes and 160 euros later, I was done.
Okay, we're building up a little bit of speed. Shall we do a squeak test? Oh, success! Let's go get your new exhaust.
Let's get my new butthole.
There he is.
Oh, do I see an exhaust though?
I think it looks
Do I see an
done.
exhaust?
There is our old friend. Look at that.
How's it looking?
Attached.
Oh yeah.
Wow! It sounds excellent. It's just like mine.
Wait, that's so quiet.
Please.
Once we returned to pick up our luggage and wake everyone else up, my car coughed into life.
Oh!
Which gave me a chance to try out my new nickname.
Good work, Stavros. Okay, setting off day 2. We had a bit of a chaotic day yesterday, but hopefully this will go a little bit smoother, although it will be a little bit hotter because it's 96. But today should be a pretty interesting day because we are going to Bulgaria. I've never been to Bulgaria. Oh God, this is a short merge. Come on. Oh, the speed and power, that's 60 kilometers an hour.
Today's voyage promised to be quite scenic, with a quick drive up the northernmost stretches of Greek highway until the Bulgarian border, but then we had to drive all the way across central Bulgaria to a small town called Veliko Tarnovo.
So Andrew, now that we're on the highway, how are you liking your new exhaust?
It's so good. I'm not shaken to pieces anymore, and I can actually hear myself think.
Does your speedometer work?
Yes, but I think it may be a bit optimistic because it says we're doing 110, but we're definitely doing 80.
Yeah, that's very bad.
Actually, here's a very important one. Does your antenna work?
Yes, it does. It's a little anemic, but it does extend, which I'm very happy about.
I think mine's bigger than yours, though.
That's probably the case.
I guess that brings us on to the topic of air conditioning, which none of us have.
This is a bit tough. It's 96 degrees freedom units. I don't know what that is in your weird communism units.
In my proper units that the rest of the world uses, it's about 36 degrees Celsius. So for the educated viewers, I think they'll appreciate that.
Yeah, okay. Whatever you say, international schoolboy.
When we stopped to fill up before the Bulgarian border, there were some visible signs of just how hot it was that day. And unfortunately, my car was beginning to disintegrate in one very specific way. But setting that aside, it was time to go inland, up the mountains, and towards the Bulgarian border. This was one of the most beautiful drives I've ever been on. The northern Greek coastline provided us with some stunning backdrops, beautifully paved roads, and we could finally distract ourselves from the fact that we were all being cooked alive.
Just pulled over here in front of the Bulgarian border. We're putting all of our cameras away because we don't want to be very, conspicuous and seem like we're obviously recording stuff. We're also switching drivers briefly because we've got 2 Greek people in our party, you and that other one.
Yeah, the other one.
And
2 Greek people, nondescript Greek people.
yeah, nondescript random
Wow,
Greek
your
people.
face is red.
Yes, it's very hot. But it's less conspicuous if you have 2 Greeks coming from Greece versus a random American in a 35-year-old Mercedes. So
Yeah.
I think this probably
Easier
is
to explain. I
for
think
the
it'll be
best.
alright.
I think it'll make sense.
Oh, your gauges are just, they're kind of infected.
No. They have a texture.
What is that?
They've got a texture. It's called the, Shut up.
Fortunately, I was distracted from Andrew's Ebola dials by the absolutely stunning scenery as we approached the border.
We were about to drive through what used to be an impenetrable border, the Iron Curtain, a fact which would have made this journey impossible when these cars were new.
So we bid farewell to Greece and hello to Bulgaria.
We've just crossed the border into Bulgaria, and we're now at a service station, and we've filled up with much needed water.
Time for a bit of a Bulgarian snack, I guess.
We've just completed our first country, Greece. We are now in Bulgaria. I don't know anything about Bulgaria.
Well, that turned out to be astonishingly easy, and now I've got a chance to try a delicious Bulgarian cheese snack.
Very pretty so far, though, I have to say.
It's cheesy, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, a piece of my steering wheel just fell off.
The views up here are really, really stunning, and the cars look so majestic running through these mountain roads.
And so far, I have to say, this car has performed beautifully in every way. I've maxed it out on the highway completely. Didn't complain, not at all. Temperature stayed the same the whole way. Is my temperature gauge working? Maybe.
As we continued on our lovely evening drive, the cars were performing exceptionally well. It started to sprinkle with rain just a little bit, the temperature dropped, things were honestly very pleasant.
No one talks about the natural beauty that this country has, at least in the first few kilometers that we've been driving in. We do have a slight problem though. The weather has gone polar opposite to what it was in Greece. It is now raining. The roads are very oily, and my mono wiper doesn't really do much.
The mono wiper was Mercedes' genius invention in the 80s for a single blade windshield wiper that can cover the entire window. It has this double jointed mechanism that allows it to actually change lengths and extend to reach the corners of the windshield. I was absolutely mesmerized watching this mechanism throughout the drive, but when we pulled over to get some groceries, Andrew was a little less enchanted.
Don't you love the monopod wiper on those roads?
Yeah, it's great. The thing is, mine doesn't work.
Oh, that's not great.
Yeah, so I do that, and then I have a bokeh effect.
That's good.
Yeah.
The Bulgarian grocery store had very large water bottles, but unfortunately Google Translate wasn't much help in finding food. As the sun went down, we became increasingly aware that we were off the beaten trail. We were not in a touristy part of the world. Once the light faded completely, we were relying only on Google Maps and our extremely dim 35-year-old headlights.
We've now been on the go for many hours. We've got another 2 hours and 18 minutes to go. My windshield wiper situation resolved itself in the way that it stopped raining, and my initial thoughts on the roads turned out to be wrong, because the border roads were very nice, lovely mountain roads, scenic, perfectly done. Everything else is a dump, full of potholes, blind corners, drivers who are maniacs doing 8 million kilometers an hour, overtaking you somewhere where they don't have any visibility, and then they stick behind you and get angry at you. Just now I had to change lanes because it went from a 1 lane to a 2 lane, and now it's stopped being a 2 lane, and now there's arrows pointing me where to go, and now it's back to a 2 lane, but then the 2nd lane just disappeared again.
But things were about to get worse, because in order to reach our overnight halt at Veliko Tarnovo, we had to go through Bulgaria's national park. That meant no towns, no houses, no streetlights, and as we entered the forest, a thick fog descended.
Now that is a bit fucking frightening. I'm not even gonna lie, guys.
It definitely didn't help that my headlight bulbs were dimmer than Andrew's.
This is a very strange fog. It's like really misty and thick, and it's like very low to the ground. I've never seen something like this.
And by now, we had become separated. We were kilometers apart.
Shit. Come on! Come on! Yep, no, don't dip your lights for me. Don't worry about me. I'm just a small, tiny old car.
To add to the misery, our underpowered engines made simple tasks such as overtaking a truck absolutely terrifying.
Sit rep. We've got an hour left to go. I am literally driving through the complete middle of nowhere. It's cool enough now that we can put the windows up, which I'm very grateful for. And it also gives me a chance to really acknowledge just how impressive the soundproofing and the smoothness and the build quality of this car really is. But right now, I mainly want to go to bed. So let's focus on that.
Eventually, we emerged from the forest to find a weird gas station with fighter jets in front of it. And eventually, we stumbled across the little town of Veliko Tarnovo. And at 2 in the morning, after nearly 8 hours on the road, I was so glad to see it.
We're going into a castle now. It's the Great Wall of Bulgaria.
After parking and checking into the Airbnb, we waited for Andrew to arrive.
Looky, looky.
I've never seen such a dangerous road, ever.
Oh yeah.
That was bad.
Ever.
I'm gonna film your reaction to this apartment.
Is this all ours?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wall. Why does it have seating for 40?
I don't know. I think that's the porn couch.
How long is missing something?
Paintings.
Porn.
Yeah, there's not enough paintings, I think. This, I do not like.
There's one bedroom downstairs, and there's one room that just won't open.
Having explored our strange accommodations, we decided to try out the Bulgarian brandy that we'd picked up earlier.
What is in that?
My fuel.
Bulgaria is very confusing.
Very. And it doesn't help by the fact that we only slept for 4 hours last night. I also, at that point, I got very angry at people, so I just started honking at them.
You did?
Yeah.
You honked at Bulgarians?
In the footage. Yeah.
You can't do that.
I did it. What a weird day.
What a day.
We started off in an oven.
Yeah.
Then we went off up the mountain with no power.
Yeah.
Where it got slightly cooler, but the sun was still...
The next morning, we awoke to a beautiful sunrise in the village.
Oh, shit.
That was very smooth.
Yep. We may have caused a bit of a mess.
Excellent work.
As a contrast to last night's very dangerous drive, this was actually a beautiful town.
Here we are once again going past the Great Wall of Bulgaria.
We are now on our way to Romania.
Going up hills like this really shows how underpowered this engine is. In the US, we only got the W124 with 6 cylinders, but this is a 2-liter inline 4 with about 110 horsepower when new. So it's not, my foot is hard down just to go from 40 to 50. You had quite the plume coming out there. Were you hard down trying to get up this hill?
Maybe a little bit. I was in second gear. It had a bit of power. Now I'm in third and it has no power.
We're being gassed. We are being gassed.
Can you guys not smell the lovely countryside, fresh mountain air?
No, I'm not really getting mountain air so much as I am getting Mercedes air. So I've got the new fuel economy figures, and we have not improved. You were previously doing 19 point something mpg. Yesterday you did 18. I was doing 31.3. Yesterday I did 27.8. So I think the uphills did have an impact.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that you dropped by a lot more mpg than I did.
Okay, maybe by a greater number, but I'm still absolutely clobbering you, and I'm saving quite a bit of money on the gas bill.
No. That's just because I have a bigger fuel tank.
I don't think that's how that works. So today's drive is a much more leisurely 3 hours.
Invisible speed bump ahead.
Another one. Anyway, as I was saying, today's drive is a much more leisurely 3 hours. We're going from here in the middle of Bulgaria up to Bucharest. And honestly, I'm quite glad about that because the last 2 days of marathon and nighttime driving have been very tiring for everyone in the group. So today we're taking it a little bit easy.
After a few hours of lovely driving through Bulgaria's countryside, I had a chance to reflect on the trip so far.
The thing about this trip is we are driving 2,000 miles and we have everything blocked out and planned very, very specifically. So we really don't have that much room for error. I have a flight home booked on August 1st. We have hotels along the way and everything just kind of needs to work. And that is one of the big reasons why we picked these W124 Mercedes. They are absolutely bulletproof. They're famous for being able to run forever. And so we knew that even if a couple things might go wrong, you know, a trim piece might fall off, an odometer might not work, we can at least rely on the fact that these cars will make it. I am 100% confident at this point that we are going to make it to Berlin.
And soon we crossed over the border into Romania.
Well, here we are, Romania, and it feels so much better to be on a proper road. So much better.
You know, that border crossing was pretty easy, but the border control agent asked where we were going, so I said Berlin, and he said, "Are you sure you're going to make it in this?"
Well, that's interesting, because what he told us, he was like, go follow your friends over there when he sent us over to secondary. I guess he just found us funny.
Yeah, I think he was very amused, but I did tell him that we are 100% going to make it. And then he asked if this was a rental car, which is a bit confusing.
Can you imagine a rental company with these cars?
I think it would actually be excellent, and I think people should do that right away.
I think so too. Now that we're in Romania, it's actually interesting to think about the context of our journey. We must remember that we are going behind what used to be the Iron Curtain in Europe. And Romania, at the time when these cars were new, you couldn't visit it. There was a brutal dictatorship. As I'm sure all of you know, Nicolae Ceausescu was the leader of this country for many years. And he met a very deserved but grisly death in 1989, I believe. It wouldn't have been this easy to cross into here.
Eventually, the fields and pastures gave way to a more urban environment as we pulled into Bucharest. It was around 5:30 p.m., with temperatures beginning to drop, and we thought we were in the home stretch.
Sit rep, we are 24 minutes, 7 kilometers away from our overnight halt. For once, it's not 2 in the morning, which is a nice thing. But yeah, it is quite hot, and we're not really moving very fast, which is not great for us at this time.
Yeah, I'm cooking.
I'm becoming a boiled egg.
I'm becoming a boiled dog.
He does look like a boiled dog.
However, as we neared the city center, the situation started to unravel.
I think my car might be making a horrible sound. I'm gonna come up next to you, and I want you to tell me if this sound is coming from my car. Well, now it's not doing anything.
Oh,
you hear that?
I just, yeah, what is that? Is that brakes?
Is that me?
That is definitely you.
However, Stavros changing his mind about being silent was nothing compared to what was about to happen to me.
Yeah, I think you're losing all of your coolant right now.
Yeah, we're leaking coolant badly. Shit. Okay, we're turning on all the heat in here because I think I'm out of coolant.
That's good. Sacrifice yourself to save the car just a few hundred meters before we are at the Airbnb.
Yeah, I see that. We're not, okay, temperature's going down, but it is at like 120.
We were just 1 block from our Airbnb when we encountered a massive traffic circle.
We have to go around the roundabout and loop back.
You should look at a map.
However, as we approached the roundabout and turned into the left-hand lane, we were separated by a van. And then, disaster struck.
Oh shit, I'm boiling over.
Oh God, really?
Could you stay there where you are, and we're gonna act as a block here because I don't want people to come closer.
Oh, that's a big mess.
That is not good. That's not great.
Nope. And in the middle of a roundabout.
What I had just done was break down in the most central part of all of Bucharest.
Can we move that car up closer?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like
Yeah, you may want to do that.
My car was in a bad state. It was 6 p.m. on a Friday evening, in a country where none of us spoke the language. Finding a mechanic at this hour, when we didn't even know the cause of my engine troubles, was going to be damn near impossible. I was in for a long night.
So with that, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching part 1. We'll pick it up in the next episode, and until then, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.